What's going on there, YouTube? This is Quinn, that's Snazzy iPhone Guy, and this is Snazzy's ultimate guide to headphones. Now, this has been my #1 most requested video for months, and the reason I delayed it is because I wanted to make sure it was absolutely perfect. I've tried every single one of these headphones extensively for hours on end. My uncle's a big audiophile, so I've spent a lot of time hanging around his place listening to all his different headphones and with different amplifiers and all that other stuff. But what I've done is I've devised a list of what I feel is the best headphone in each respective price range up until $300. Now, here was my grading criteria. Well, this is kind of vague because it's not really my grading criteria. I mean, I had some pretty distinct things I was looking for when I decided upon which was best. But what you're going to see is 3 specific categories in each pricing structure. There will be 0 to 20, 20 to 50, 50 to 100, and then 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. So there's a couple different categories, and there's 3 specific subcategories in each price structure. So there's the best sound, the best build, and the best look. So for each pricing structure, you're going to get 3 headphones. All of them are pretty well rounded. There's one that's going to be the best sound far and above, one that's going to be the best build, and usually the best build has awesome sound as well, but usually not quite as good as best sound. And then best look usually has pretty good sound as well. But I mean, just go along those different lines. That's not to say the best look in the $200 category is crap and you shouldn't buy it. It just means it doesn't sound as good as the sound section, and it's not as well built as the built section. So let's get started. Our first section is under $20. It's pretty hard to find a pair of headphones that's really stellar under $20, but I've done my research and I've decided upon these headphones. Now, the first one is the Koss KSC75. These are older headphones. They've been out for about 10 years, and they're not really headphones because they're on ear. This is my really only one exception to this whole presentation, because I didn't want to do in-ear. I didn't even want to do over-ear or, these little cups. But for $20, this seriously is the best sound you can get. I was amazed at how good these sounded. I knew they were going to be pretty good considering they're by Koss, and Koss makes excellent low budget stuff. But I've always thought of these over-ear cups as absolute garbage, and I tried them and was blown away. Now, that's not to say they're amazing. I mean, you're going to spend $40 and get better headphones than these, but for $20, holy crap, I was impressed. So for under $20, this is far and above the best selection you can choose, in my opinion. Moving on to the best build. The Sony MDR-V150 are also really good sounding, so if you don't like this over-ear style, you can, of course, go to this Sony MDR-V150 model. The build quality is great, they're super durable, and they're pretty well excellent, especially for that sub-$20 price tag. Best looks, I gotta say, are the iFrogz Toxix. Now, they're a little bit raunchy for some. Some people won't like them, and the sound is decent. It's not great, but I was, thinking to myself, for $20, they sound decent, and they look pretty cool. It's a better alternative than the Skull Candies and a couple of the other competitors in this price range, because iFrogz makes a little bit better sound in their cans. Moving on to the $20 to $50 price range, our first up with the best sound is the Koss PortaPro. Now, these headphones are legendary, and of course, as you can see, they are absolutely heinous. They're the ugliest headphones I believe I've ever laid eyes on, except for maybe the Sennheiser HD600s, I believe, that have those nasty blue open-ear cups. Oh, they're awful. But these are pretty bad. I mean, they look pretty atrocious, but for $50, you can find them actually for about $30 on Amazon and other underground websites that are, well, not underground at all. You get excellent sound, really excellent sound for a very low price point. Again, you're not going to get that great a build quality, and the look is obviously quite heinous, but for the sound, hands down, Koss PortaPro. Now, up in second is really close to the Koss PortaPro in sound. It's very good still, but PortaPro is just incredible considering the $50 price point. But the best build is probably the Audio-Technica ATH-M30s. Again, they sounded awesome. They look pretty good. They look less atrocious than the PortaPros, but this is what I chose for best build. It's really a toss-up. Those two you can kind of change. PortaPro is better in sound. This is better in pretty much everything else. When we go to the next one, the best looks has got to be the Zumreed Border. They're pretty good looking headphones. They're relatively priced, and they sound kind of decent. I tried them and was actually pretty impressed at how well they were built. I mean, they're pretty pretty well built considering the stuff. And this is much better alternative than Skull Candy and other stuff. If they look a little bit girly to you, don't worry. They do have other designs. These are just some of the ones that I tried. So the Zumreed Border. Now we're in the $50 to $100 range. This is really where you can get some pretty decent headphones. This is where things start to get into the, this is pretty good. The first up is Audio-Technica AT-700. Now these don't retail for $100. They actually retail for like $199, I think, but you can find them online for a lot cheaper because these are almost 10 years old. But just because they're old doesn't mean they sound good, or they don't sound good. And I think the sound in these is about as good as it gets. That headrest, the little cup there, they're like little wings, and they like stick to your head. It's really weird at first, but they've become the most comfortable headphones as well. I've never honestly tried a more comfortable pair of headphones. So for sound and comfort, definitely the Audio-Technica AT-700. Moving on to the best build, the Grado SR60. Again, these are very, very prestigious, and a lot of people really appreciate them for their build quality and their sound. They're really well known in studio use and all that other stuff. Now, if you can see, the SR60 is an on-ear style. If you want the over-ear style, you have to pay about 10 or 15 bucks more, but you can get the SR80, which will give you that over-ear style, which is a little bit more comfy in my opinion. Next up is the Sony MDR-XB500s for best looks. Now these are in the $50 to $100 price range. I think they look really stellar. They're not really flashy or anything of the like, but when you come up close to them, dang, they look good. The only problem is the build quality ain't that great, and there's an overwhelmingly high amount of bass, so you do have to be kind of aware of that. But in terms of looks, hands down the best. On to the $100 to $200 price range. This for sure is where headphones get good. This is where you can spend some, a pretty penny, but get really stellar headphones. First up is the Audio-Technica ATH-M50. I actually bought these on Amazon because they're like 150 bucks off. You can find these for about $199, but on Amazon they're like $130 and they retail for $250. Absolutely incredible headphones. I've tried headphones in the $300 to $400 price range that don't sound as good as these. Absolutely fantastic. Build quality is spectacular, and I think they look pretty dang sexy. This was my absolute favorite headphone in this price range, and honestly, it could have taken all three positions for best sound, build, and looks. Absolutely fantastic. If you have $150 to burn, do it on the ATH-M50s. Absolutely perfect. I love them. Moving on to the BeyerDynamic DT770 Pro for the best build. They ain't the best lookers, they're pretty ugly, but they sound absolutely marvelous. Not quite as good as, of course, our friends the ATH-M50, but they sound pretty dang good. And they are significantly more sturdy. So, I mean, if you want seriously good build, BeyerDynamic is where to do it. Again, they sound good, everything's great, but they are not the best looking headphones at all whatsoever. Moving on to the best looks, these were actually a limited edition and they're pretty hard to find. You can still find them if you seriously look around for about $180, but they're the Audio-Technica ATH-PRO 700. I did try these. They're absolutely gorgeous headphones. One of the best looking headphones I think I've ever seen, ever laid eyes upon. Of course, there's that really beautiful white that shines through, and I just love them. I think they're absolutely fantastic looking. The sound is good. The build quality is good, but they are hard to find. So if you do some extensive Googling or eBaying, you will find a pair, but you probably won't be able to pick them up on Amazon. Moving on to the $200 to $300 price range, and this is our last category. The first one for best build has to be, that's not in the right order. The best build is the Audio-Technica ATH-ESW9. Again, these are kind of hard to find. I think they've officially been discontinued, but they are still excellent headphones. They're still on Amazon selling like fire, and people that buy them love them. They have this beautiful wood construction. They're really, really well built, and I've tried them. They sound great, and the build quality is beautiful. I mean, these are some of the cheapest woodies you can get, and that's not to say they're cheap. They're really, really well built. I absolutely love them, the Audio-Technica ATH-ESW9. Moving to the best sound. This is in the $200 to $300 price range again, and this is the AKG K702. The headband on this, again, is pretty weird, but it does adjust to your head, and it's really awesome. The sound on these is absolutely magnificent. It has a relatively high power usage so far as I recall, and they weren't very efficient. I did have to drive it by an amplifier, namely the FIO E7, which is a $100 portable amplifier, which I'm going to be doing a review on here soon, which really, really brought out the sound in these. And they'll work with your iPhone and your iPod, but they don't sound quite as good as they would amped up. So, the best sound for sure, but you may have to do some work to get them to be the best sound because they aren't very efficient. Best looks, unfortunately, no. The best looks, I'd have to say, is the Monster Beats by Dre Studio. No one can deny the sexiness of these beats, and even though I believe the sound to be absolutely horrendously overpriced, they're well-built headphones. I'm going to give Beats that. Seriously, though, do not buy these if you're going to be paying over $150 for them. Even then, you're borderline. Those Sony, what are they? The Sony XB5 or 700s sound just as good as the Beats by Dre Studios. They look just as good, in my opinion. And these are just a horrendous value. I'm not a Monster hater. I think Monster's other headphones are pretty good, like the Copper Turbine Pros and the Miles Davis. But the Beats by Dre Studio, the Pros and the Solos and the Beats and whatever. The Beats line is incredibly overpriced, and I absolutely hate how much Monster charges for them. It's pure marketing scam, and it's terrible. So don't buy these, but I do have to say that they are probably the best look. So what's after that? Why aren't you going above $300? Well, when you go past the $300 mark, you really run into some seriously powered headphones. But the problem with that is if you have an underpowered device, aka an iPod, an iPad, a Zune, a MacBook even, you're going to run into some issues and you can't really pump out the best sound unless you're using a portable amplifier. So that's why I decided not to do a segment above this section. And also because when you get above that $300 section, you can really customize the sound and you can choose exactly what you want. So best sound to me may not be best sound to someone else. I don't like a ton of bass. I really like open soundstage. I like the open ear design. Some people like really, really bass intensive closed design headphones. And so really it's just your own preference. If you're looking to spend over $300, head on to headfi.org and you'll be able to, learn all you need to know and more about headphones. The community over there is super useful, super helpful, and they've helped me a lot in really learning audio. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, comment. Hopefully this was good. What headphones do you have, and do you recommend them for the price you paid? As always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks.